Zweig Group invites all AEC industry leaders to the 2024 AEC Small Business and Entrepreneurship Forum, the premier event for small firms in the AEC sector. Experience innovative strategies and insights on May 21st, crafted by Zweig Group's industry experts. Engage in keynotes and interactive sessions focused on recruitment, retention, and business growth. Join Zweig Group for this unique networking opportunity and take your business to new heights. Secure your spot today and be part of the AEC industry's future. Visit zweiggroup.com for more information. The Zweig Group team looks forward to welcoming you.
Welcome to the Zweig Letter Podcast, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting experts straight talk in your ear. These podcasts deliver great interviews with industry leaders and Zweig Group's 3 decades of invaluable research, leadership, management, marketing, client, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter Podcasts let you develop personally and professionally, wherever you are.
Dallas, Texas at the Fairmont Hotel, September 19th and 20th and 21st. And I got to tell you, we had an amazing time down there in Texas. You know what they say about Texas. Everything is big there. And that certainly couldn't be more true with the Hot Firm event. We had an amazing time. We took a tremendous team of individuals from Zweig Group. Some of us flew, but most of us drove down there and spent several days holed up at the Fairmont Hotel, hanging out with some of the best and brightest folks that the AE industry has to offer. And we had a blast, that's for sure. What I wanted to do with you today is just kind of give you an overview of what was discussed at the event, kind of like the agenda. And then I also wanted to share with you, before I close, just a little snippet of Chad Clinehens' Elevate the Industry speech that he gave at the beginning. It's his opening keynote that he shared at the beginning, and he talked about some really cool things, some changes that are taking place here at Zweig Group, as well as just what we should be endeavoring to see happen in this industry, both from a consulting perspective, but as well as just an individual company perspective in terms of where we need to take the design industry as a whole. So I really wanted to just kind of share that, and the snippet that I have that Chad spoke about is pretty impressive. We'll share with you where you can get the information for all of the audio from the Hot Firm event. If you'd like to get a copy of it, we'll certainly make sure that we can figure out a way to make it available to you. So bottom line, this event, this is my 5th Hot Firm event since I've been back at Zweig Group. This is my 2nd stint with the company, and I got to say, the second time around is a charm for sure. I enjoyed myself the first time around and the amazing people that I work with, but I got to say that I work with some of the best people in the industry, and I'm really thankful for them. I'm thankful for people like Chad Clinehens and Jamie Claire Kaiser, Mark Zweig, Christy Zweig, Melissa Swan, Chad Coldiron, you name it, you fill in the blank. If I forgot a name, don't worry, I care about them, and I just can't mention everyone. But I work with a great team of folks, and we are embarking upon a new journey here at Zweig Group to really elevate the industry. And we're going to do it in a lot of different ways. And so this particular Hot Firm event was special to me because of kind of the focus of the event. And so I just wanted to kind of share with you, just to give you a glimpse of what we actually discussed during the 2-day event that took place in Dallas. And I'll also tell you where the next Hot Firm event is going to be in 2019, because if you've never been, you need to make plans to do a couple of things. One, you need to submit your firm's information to be a hot firm if you guys qualify. If you think you're a best firm to work for, you need to submit for that award. You also need to submit the names of top young people that you have in your firm for our Rising Stars, and also for top new venture awards. And finally, if you consider yourself a top marketing firm in the design space, you need to also submit your firm for the Marketing and Excellence Awards. So there's a lot that you can become a part of if you haven't already, and I certainly want to encourage you to think about that. But the bottom line is that it's an outstanding awards event, and there's so much that's happening at this 2-day event. So many people coming together, and so much great information is being exchanged. So I would highly recommend that you check out Hot Firm in 2019. And at the end of this podcast, I'll tell you where it will be. But just to give you an idea, we started off our event on the 19th of September with a branding and marketing workshop. And we had Steve Thomas from This Old House fame and Christy Zweig from Zweig Group participate in a 3-hour discussion on branding in the design space. I mean, what branding is in general, but specifically what branding is in the design space. And that was a lot of fun to hang out with those guys and participate with a small group of people that had a chance to really talk about what they're doing, what's working well for them. But it was just it was a great time for sure. And we will at some point in time in the near future share that audio, or at least a portion of that audio, in an upcoming podcast. The title of that was Building an Authentic Brand with Steve Thomas and Christy Zweig. Then starting out on Thursday, the first day of the actual Hot Firm event, Chad Clinehens kicked it off, as I said earlier, with a state of the industry keynote, and he talked about Zweig Group's plans to elevate the industry, which is part of our new mission, part of our focus, which is to take this industry and elevate the thought process, elevate the thinking of everyone that's involved with this industry: architects, engineers, environmental consultants, planners. I don't care what you do. If you work in the built environment, we want to elevate your thinking, both in what you do on a regular basis, but also within your firm. And Zweig Group is going to play a big part of that. And Chad Clinehens spent about 45 minutes breaking it down. And I have a section at the end of this podcast which gives you a little bit more information about that, and just how important we see education fitting into this component, and what you can do to start really thinking about how to elevate the industry. After that, we had a keynote by Christopher Parsons, who's the founder and CEO of Knowledge Architecture. Chris shared on Smarter by Design, and it's called a Knowledge Management Manifesto for the AEC industry. And then we had Dickerson Wright from NV5, which is the #1 hot firm at Hot Firm, talked about a culture of inclusion. That Thursday at lunchtime, we had a Rising Stars and Top New Ventures Awards luncheon, which was sponsored by Civil Plus Structural Engineer magazine. And that was an amazing award luncheon that we had, where we acknowledged and awarded some of the rising stars in our industry, as well as some of the top new ventures that have started recently here in the design space. In the afternoon, we had several breakout sessions. With the breakout sessions were both Thursday and Friday. On Thursday, we had a breakout session on BIM advancement with Bentley. Bentley was one of the sponsors of the event, and we had some amazing presenters there from Bentley talking about how to take advantage of BIM through some of the portals that Bentley has set up. We also had Dawson Furco from CTA, which is, Dawson talked about permanent and research credit and how to find your competitive advantage in that area. And then we also talked about the changing workplace, a new school versus old school discussion. I had the privilege of sitting in on that particular discussion, and we had people like Aaron Tippie from Westwood Professional Services and Mitch Fortner from KSA participate, in addition to having Brendan Shearer and Christy Zweig from Zweig Group participate. And that was a packed house room. Later that afternoon, we did utilizing cloud-based software to improve project and business management with Mark Little from Project Boss, which is a great little startup that has created a simple project management tool. It was created by architects for the design industry exclusively, and it's set up in terms of how design firms work. And so it's a little bit more intuitive from a project management tool standpoint. Definitely something worth looking at if you're a firm that is looking to implement a project management tool and you don't currently already have one up and running. Another program that we did on that Thursday was all about ESOPs, employee stock ownership plans. We had James Swaboski, Matt Doucette, and Patrick Stoltz from Wintrust Financial talking about some of the benefits of ESOPs and how to incorporate those. And then we also had our fearless leader and founder, Mark Zweig. Mark did a program called Question Mark, 38 years of consulting experience. He did more of an open mic. But, Mark is such a great storyteller that he told some tremendous stories, several of which I've heard before. But each time I hear them, they are funnier every time that he shares them. So I'm just excited to hear from Mark and what he had to share. And it was just a really, really great event. And, the thing I always tell Mark is that he started on time and ended on time. And it was just an hour's worth of great content and information. And that definitely is something that we are going to clean up. If there were any bad words in there, I can't quite remember, but I don't think so. But we're going to clean it up and make it open for general consumption and try to share it out there on a future podcast episode. And then we did a 2018 Hot Firm M&A panel with the fearless George Christodoulou from Lawson & Whiteson. George is probably one of the premier attorneys in the M&A space in the design industry. We also had Brian Powell from Westwood Professional Services, Joe Boyer from Atlas Technical Consultants, Paul DiDonato, who's the president of ATI Architects and Engineers, and our own Jamie Claire Kaiser, CFO and Director of Consulting for Zweig Group, moderated that panel. That was another amazing panel to hear from, and there was so much good information. If you're thinking about getting into or doing an M&A with your firm, that is certainly a great starting point to get some helpful advice, some good information, and some amazing tips. So certainly want to encourage you. There was also a marketing, motivation, and meaning, how marketing excellence elevates your firm and the industry. For a lot of people that don't know, Mark Zweig has a brother, John Zweig, and John Zweig is no slouch in his own right. He was chairman of WPP Group, an ad industry executive for many years with some of the biggest firms in the world. And John has forgotten more about marketing than most of us will ever know. And he had a great 1 hour session on marketing, motivation, and meaning, and really breaking some things down. And we got that on audio, and definitely we'll be sharing that out. So something worth checking out. And then we also did a best firm to work for panel with Brian Bowers, president of Bowers Kubota Consulting. They are one of the top firms in the design space and also a best firm to work for. Paul Grosser, president and CEO of PW Grosser Consulting. We had Laura Nick, who is the corporate communications leader from Garver right here in Arkansas. And then we had Brent Wright, who is the CEO of Wright Engineers, which was the #1 structural firm and a best firm to work for. All of those guys participated in the best firm to work for panel. And there were some really great ideas bandied about with regard to how do you make your firm a best firm to work for, including talking about creative ways to retain good talent. How do you retain great talent? And one of the things that came up, and we kind of went back and forth with several of the panelists, was this idea of potentially paying for student loans as a retention tool. And there's some really great spirited conversation about that. And some people were on the pro side and some people were on the con side with regard to that. But certainly it's definitely worth a listen. On Friday, we kicked it off with a keynote. Our third keynote speaker was Jay Steinfeld, who is the CEO from Blinds.com. And that keynote was Home to Home Depot. And Jay really had some practical advice about running a growing, successful, and profitable firm. And he was really good to listen to. And certainly I gained a lot from his talk. And I've actually had to listen to it more than once just because there were so many tidbits and nuggets of information. So definitely worth checking out. We had a couple of breakout sessions that morning leading up to our final event that early afternoon. And those breakout sessions included Getting Your Employees to Think and Act Like Owners by June Jewell from AEC Business Solutions. There was another one done called The Executioner, an hour on the power of strategy with Michael Davis from WGI or Wantman Group. And then Phil Kyle, who is our head and director of strategy here at Zweig Group, also participated in that particular talk. And then we had Alternatives to Conventional Ownership Transition, which was a panel with James Swaboski from Wintrust, Bo Sutton from Bow River Capital Partners, Will Swearingen here from Zweig Group, and Donald Alford from NV5. That was another really good panel on ownership transition and some things to think about. And then the final main session that we had was a general session that we did in the International Ballroom there at the Fairmont Hotel, and that was called Elevate the Industry. And it was kind of a nice way to button up everything that Chad talked about at the beginning of the opening of the Hot Firm event. And we brought in a panel of some really high-powered folks like Seppi Sayadi from who is the president and CEO of Seppi Engineering and Construction. They are an ENR 500 firm. Steve Lucy, who's the managing partner at JQ Engineering in Dallas, Texas. Ozzie Nelson, CEO of Nelson, a very, very progressive and fast-growing firm. David Wantman, president of WGI. Josh Brown, vice president of Huckabee. It was a great group of people that we had on that particular panel session, and really had a chance to talk about elevating the industry and what it takes to really make some things happen. And so there were some really great ideas shared in that particular session. And at some point in time, I'm going to figure out a way to post that in its entirety on the podcast here, because I think you'll really, really benefit from it. But we had some amazing sponsors. We had some amazing folks that were part of this event, and we really, really appreciate everyone that came out to participate in the Hot Firm Awards conference. It was simply the best. It was probably one of the best ones that I've been to. And certainly with the mandate that is now on us to really elevate the industry, I think we have nowhere to go but up. So I'm excited for what the future holds. And with all that said, I wanted to end this particular podcast episode with just a little snippet from Chad Clinehens' opening keynote. And it's basically Chad's really giving a good, it's just one section of the keynote, and he's kind of talking about how we unite education and industry. And I think there's a couple of quick stories in there that he shares, but it's just a really, really short snippet of what it does mean to elevate the industry. And I think it's definitely worth focusing on. And part of it just starts with us educating everyone in the workplace, in the design industry, about what it means to elevate this industry. We have to go out and reach out to the young people in the schools, in the high schools. We have to start figuring out ways to lay the groundwork now to educate people about all the benefits of working in the design industry space, because we know that they are not growing architects and engineers on trees, for sure. And so we need to encourage more and more of our young people here in the United States to decide that, you know what, I want to become an engineer. I want to become an architect. It's definitely a great opportunity. It's a great career, and there's a lot of fun things that can be done. And so Chad really kind of drives that point home in his keynote, and I thought I would share that with you as we close out this particular episode of the Zweig Letter podcast. I hope you enjoy it, and I do look forward to hearing from you in the very near future. Remember, as always, you can check us out online at zweiggroup.com and visit us. Let us know what you think about the podcast. We'd love to get some feedback from you. But in the meantime, we want to close with this short section of Chad Clinehens' Elevate the Industry keynote from the Hot Firm event in Dallas, Texas, this past September 2018. We hope you enjoy, and we will talk with you soon.
Let's unite education and industry. Push the message down from colleges and universities through K through 12. Let's really get into the schools and attract students to this industry from an early age. We must confront the challenges in our technical programs and secondary education, programs that take more hours and work to complete than other competing programs, with little flexibility in gaining knowledge outside of the core program. I believe a stronger connection between education and industry can enrich these programs with more business acumen while driving the message further into early education. My vision is to partner with universities to help us champion this effort, and my hope is to start right here in Texas at some of these great schools. Let's face it, some of our educational institutions are not doing industry any favor. Remember Noah, the guy I just introduced you to? He's one of the stars on our M&A team, and shared this story from when he was getting his degree in architecture. He had a professor tell the class, good architectural design and making money were mutually exclusive, going as far to say you can't make good money in this industry. True story. Wow, how motivating is that? At Zweig Group, we beg to differ. There are amazing stories of successful architects, architectural firms, whose designs have not only generated wealth for the designers, but brought money into the communities, impacting hundreds of thousands of people. Just look around Dallas. There are thousands of examples. But who's telling these stories? Are we really connecting architecture and engineering design to the positive impact it has on community and commerce? We must stop being so project-focused and focus more on the benefits to the communities and the world. We must join education and industry together and educate the world, telling these stories about our industry. It's time to change the conversation and shift toward growth-oriented policies that can mobilize investment and create jobs. Simply said, we need to be able to pay better salaries and attract and retain talent. And this starts with educating our clients, getting away from low-bid processes, differentiating our services, and breaking out of this trend of so-called commoditization. Everyone is providing high-quality engineering and architectural services that are client-focused, blah, blah, blah. We must invest more in the political process. We need people, taxpayers, to recognize the value of design and infrastructure, how roads and bridges empower commerce, how the amazing architectural design of a museum brings thousands of visitors and boosts the local economy. We must fight for qualification-based selection, related to the political call for action. We must advocate for QBS in every area we can. We cannot compete if fees continue to be pushed down while demand for talent hits the stratosphere. Let's work together to combat the so-called commoditization of the industry and change the conversation, turning the economic challenge on its head. We have got to work harder to differentiate our firms, define who we really are, and break out of this transactional rut that many are stuck in. It is absolutely time for change. And finally, I challenge you to celebrate. Celebrating creates momentum. Firms that celebrate success attract more success. As the momentum grows, the firm develops an increasingly positive energy that is critical to further growth and evolution. I challenge you to look for every opportunity in your firms, your teams, to celebrate your individuals, your clients, teams. Celebrate with them. From meeting small goals to completing a project on time, on budget, to giant pursuit wins, take the time to celebrate. When you do, you are motivating your team by recognizing their hard work. When you show respect for someone's achievement, you literally boost their self-esteem. You are motivating them, which results in inspired work and loyalty to your firm, which we need. There's no better time to start than now. You are at the industry's largest awards conference. It's for this very reason that we invest so much into our awards gala tomorrow night, making it more like the Oscars. The truth is, we have something to celebrate that's far more important than this year's Best Motion Picture. We work in an industry that makes a difference, an industry that resonates with the current generation. This is why we at Zweig Group want to mobilize resources to bring greater awareness to this amazing profession that all of us in this room are a part of and benefit from. Promote, diversify, educate, change, and celebrate. We can't do this alone. We must come together as an industry and be intentional. Zweig Group is ready to continue our evolution as an advisor and hub of information and resources while leading this movement, one that brings us together to promote and advance the industry. As I said, we recognize that today is just the start of the conversation, actually the start of many conversations. But Zweig Group is committed to this idea. In fact, so much that we have adopted Elevate the Industry as our new firm mission. For us at Zweig Group, it is a logical and a little bit of a magical evolution. This is not just a new mission statement, it's a real sense of mission. We see it as a mandate. Our research, training, consulting, and related resources will transcend with a broader focus to elevate individuals, to elevate firms, and to elevate the industry. Zweig Group exists to advance the AEC profession. We believe in a world that celebrates the built environment and recognizes its impact on individuals, communities, and commerce. Our goal to elevate the industry is a natural progression of what Zweig Group has done for the last 30 years. And moving forward, everything we do as a company will be measured by the test of our mission. I believe with you as our partner, we can fulfill this mission. As John F. Kennedy said, a rising tide lifts all ships. Together, we can elevate the industry. Together, we can advance this profession. Thank you, and have a great conference.
Thanks for tuning in to this Zweig Letter podcast episode. If you want more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about M&A, strategic planning, HR, and marketing your firm, subscribe now to the digital version of the Zweig Letter free of charge. Just visit thezweigletter.com/subscribe and leave your email address. Your free subscription will begin immediately.